The Ratu Adil Armed Force is a pro-Dutch militia group that emerged in the era of the National Revolution. APRA was formed and led by the former captain of the KNL, or the Dutch East Indies Army, Raymond Westerling. Maintained the form of a federal state because it rejected the two Java-centric Republic of Indonesia under Sukarno and Hatta. Background. There are several factors that became the background of the rebellion. The following is an explanation. Number 1. United States of Indonesia Armed Force. The formation of APRA originated from APRS, namely the United States of Indonesia Armed Forces. APRS itself has members consisting of a combination of Dutch KNIL soldiers and TNI. In fact, the situation was quite difficult for them because the KNIL and the TNI had clashed during the war to realize the independence of the Indonesian state. Therefore, a large number of reactionists were born. They are APRS elements who tend to support the federalism of the Indonesian people or dislike the TNI and the Republic of Indonesia. They voluntarily joined the Ratu Adil Armed Force, which later also participated in the APRA rebellion to create a federal Indonesia in the REIS. Number 2. Roundtable Conference Results. The results of the Roundtable Conference, or known as the KMMP, became one of the starting points of the APRA rebellion. The conference was held in The Hague in 1949. This conference resulted in a quite horrendous idea, namely the plan to dissolve the Republic of the United States of Indonesia. Following up in the news, Raymond Westerling collaborated with Sultan Hamid II to establish APRA to fight against the government of the Republic of Indonesia. Sultan Hamid II himself was more in favor of the flow of the RIS federal state, so he did not want the disappearance of the RIS. The APRA rebellion was an attempt to maintain the existence of the RIS state. Number 3. Dutch interest. The APRA rebellion was also caused by the Dutch wanting to colonize, or at least plant their political and economic interest in Indonesia. The Dutch intend to exploit Indonesian resources to maintain its economic condition. The Dutch knew that it would be very difficult to intervene economically if Indonesia had been united as the United States of Republic of Indonesia. What's more, the Indonesian leaders were all antipathy to Dutch rule. Therefore, the Dutch needed to cause unrest of the Republic of Indonesia and defend the RIS. APRA's actions were an attitude of supporting the Dutch in launching their colonial actions. Number 4. Westerling Ultimatum. Raymond Westerling, who is the head of APRA, gave an ultimatum to the RIS government. When APRA was only recently formed, his party wants APRA to become an official army. Apart from that, his party also wanted to take full control of the military in the Pasundan area. However, because this request was not fulfilled by the government, the members planned to seize the power through the APRA rebellion. This rebellion was centered around the areas of Jakarta and Bandung, two areas of high importance to this Indonesian nations and RIS at that time.
The purpose of Apra rebellion. 1. Defending the race. Country Apra's main objective is to defend the race. State. Various negotiations carried out between Indonesia and the Netherlands during Australian mediation always result in decisions that were detrimental to the Indonesian side. This in order to maintain peace between the two countries. The Indonesian government still urged all parties in the negotiation by carrying out attacks in the form of military aggression 1 and 2. After the violation of the agreement, the two parties were reunited in the KMB negotiations, which then decided that Indonesia will become a federal state. Apra acknowledged that its existence was a part of federal state of Indonesia. This is why Apra was able to enter the territory of Indonesia and success in subduing one of the several states at the time. After that, they launched their action to make Indonesia again unified and back under Dutch rule. 2. Interfering with the Dutch reorganization of the sovereignty of the Republic of Indonesia. Another purpose of Apra was to disrupt the process of reorganizing Indonesia's sovereignty by the Netherlands. One of the parties would try to fail the authority of the Republic of Indonesia was the commander-in-chief of the Dutch army, Lieutenant General van Frieden. His party always headed the process of reorganizing Indonesia as a sovereign country. However, in the end, the sovereignty of the Republic of Indonesia was reorganized by the Dutch on December 27, 1949. At the time, Indonesia had become a republic in form of a state and had separated from the form of federal state. 3. Meaning the existence of Apra soldiers as a soldiers in a Pasundan. The next goal of Apra is to maintain the presence of Apra soldiers as soldiers is Pasuruan. In fact, when Indonesia became independent, the Guardian and the army did not unite in the same command. Not a few the regional figures were act as the respect leaders, even though they do not have military proficiency. The struggle they did to defend Indonesia independence was enormous. There are also many heroes who died on the battlefield without being known by the public. Coinciding with the last PPKI session, which was on August 22, 1945, Indonesia had a plan to form an army. People who are members of Apra are those who do not meet the criteria to become Apris. That is why the Apra troops are taken to keep Indonesia in the form of federal state so that their existence can still be maintained on military force. One of the things that Apra did was attack to the Siliwangi division in January 1950. The main goal to be achieved was for Apra to become soldiers in Pasundan.
Chronology of the Apra Rebellion. Apra Rebellion in Bandung. Apra launched a rebellion in Bandung area in the morning on January 23, 1950. At first, the movement was carried out in the Chilean area. The movement was led by two police inspectors from the Netherlands, namely Van Beckelen and Van der Moula. This rebellion used 800 soldiers, of which 300 were former KNIL members who were equipped with sophisticated weapons at the time. The situation at the time was really scary because there were so many sadistic murders. In the end, the rebels succeeded in occupying the Siliwangi Division member headquarters. In this place again, an unequal war broke out. Apra personnel, totaling 150 people, attacked 18 Indonesian soldiers mercilessly at the base. Later, the government took several steps to end the Apra rebellion. The first step, government carried out suppression and counterattack against the leader of the Dutch troops. The next step, namely the Prime Minister of Greece, Dr. Hans Muhammad Hatta, ordered several troops under the control of the Indonesia government to go to Bandung. The troops were given a message to negotiate with the Dutch High Commissariat in Jakarta. The negotiation urged Apra troops to leave Bandung as soon as possible. As a result, the Apra rebel forces were chased by many troops consisting of indigenous people and Apri soldiers. The Apra rebellion caused the death of 79 Apra troops. Apra rebellion in Jakarta. Beside Bandung, Apra also launched its action in Jakarta. In Jakarta itself, it turned out that there were traitors who actually cooperated with Apra soldiers, who was none other than he was offered an advantage by army that Apra would become Minister of Defense if their plan to carry out a coup could go well. Some of the strategies they have planned include directing attacks on the building where the Rice cabinet meeting is being held. Then Apra soldiers will kidnap our minister. After that, people who have important roles in the minister are killed. However, the Apra rebellion in Jakarta was successful. This is because the action taken by the Apra troops were successfully broken by the indigenous people, Apris, and the Rice government. Because of this failure, the rebels withdrew slowly. The history of the Apra rebellion can teach us all to always maintain national integration, so that Indonesia remains united and does not become divided again because of many things. As good citizens, we should push away talks that lead to disintegration and strive for national unity. Impact for the Indonesian. After knowing the purpose of Apra, you must also know the impact that the Indonesian people had at the time. One of the direct impact that can be felt by the Indonesian people is the death of many Indonesian soldiers. This rebellion also made the state's financial condition a little messy and also disrupted the security of the